Hi everyone. I thought today we could take a look at some real life queries that we can do. I know there's a lot of videos around and a load of posts about what you get asked on a SQL question, but it's not very often you see things where people show you what a realistic request that you would get when you're in your job as a most likely starter to this sort of querying. So I thought what we could do is we could do a simple query from this account overview, and we could do a simple query from this account card detail tables. So I think when in the real business place, if you're someone who ends up working on reports as they come requested, it's usually very generic. Usually you'll have tables that are incredibly big, so many columns, more columns than you can shake a stick at, and obviously that's no good for the end user. You know, they don't need to see 60 columns and 500,000 rows. It's no good for them. So sometimes even just a basic query over one table is enough to bring them what they want. So if we go ahead here and make an example, I know this isn't the biggest table in the world. It's only 1,000 rows, and it's only a handful of columns. But it's going to show you how much we can drill the information down and really get a specific amount from it that would be useful for the end user. So in my time of doing queries for end users, it can be very basic, and it can be the end users can be very uninformative about what they want. It's very much just I'd like to see this, this, and this. Can you go away and do that, please? So let's do something like that then. So in this one, for example, in the accounts overview, we could say that the end user just wants to see which country is spending the most. Okay, so let's do something like that. So here we can see we've got this, and the end user isn't going to want to see every single column that you have to offer in this table. So we should really drill it down to their needs. So what they want is they want a breakdown of how much every country is spending. Okay, so let's give them exactly that. Let's show them the country. We also want to show them the spend. And we also, we should probably show them the primary currency as well. Okay, so let's bring that up. Okay, so straight away, we're already getting there. We're 3 columns deep, but the issue is here, you can see, yeah, I can see one. So Russia, Russia, Russia. You can't expect the end user to go through all of these records and count up all the Russias, and then count up all the Portugals, all the Philippines. So this is where we can really help the user. So I'm going to spread this out so it's easier for you to look at. Okay, so we split it up here into its different statements. Okay, so what we're going to want to do here on this spend field, we want to calculate this for them. We don't want them to have to bring up an Excel, do finds of what the country is, what the spend is, and add it together. So we can do this really easy for them. And if you've seen my previous videos, I've gone over like such things like these sum statements that you can use. So now we've used the sum like that. Let's also use our group by down here. Otherwise, this isn't going to work. So if we now do this by country code, and let's also do it by the country. Okay. Where are we at with this? Country, sum, spend, primary country. Oh, okay, yeah. I meant to change that out to primary currency. There we go. Okay, so now we can actually see all the countries, and it's summed it all up for us. Make sure you are using the sum though. If you use something like count, it's just going to count how many times it finds it. So this isn't a true representation. But count obviously could be used for something better somewhere else. Okay. So let's sum it. So we definitely know what we've got. And we can see straight away here we've got no column name. It's no good for the end user. They'll know exactly what it is, but they'll want to be told what it is as well. So if we just change this out to total spend. Okay, so now we've got our total spend. So what we can also see is we still have 117 rows. Okay. So if the user wasn't, in this case, the user in our scenario hasn't been specific about what sort of spend they want to see. But down here, you could change that out. You could say where the total spend is less than $1 million, more than $1 million, whatever it is you want to do. But what we can do is, again, this is going to be preference if you've not been told. For example, country currently it's ordering by the country alphabetically, but you could order it. You could order it by the total spend. And now we've got the smallest amount to the largest amount, but obviously then the country falls out of synchronization. Okay, we can do by country and total spend as well. Okay, so that's a very simple one, but it shows how much information we've gone from 1,000 rows to 117. We've done all the work for them. You could send this report to them. They can look at it and they'll just be like, that's exactly what I wanted to see. All the needs will change completely, which is usually the case. So let's take a look at the account details one. Let's do another simple one in here. Let's say, for example, let's say there's been an issue with the card type of switch for anyone who hasn't spent in the last 6 months. So what we could say here is customer service needs a report because they need to contact anyone who has a switch card type who hasn't used it in the last 6 months because there's a security issue. Okay, so let's just start with that. Let's start with the credit card type. Let's get the first name in there. Because they're most likely going to need to know what their name is if they're contacting them. Again, sometimes the end user won't tell you that they want to see this, but after you've been doing them so long, you generally know what it is they're going to want from you. Okay, so we've got all of that. And let's break it down again so it's easier to look at. There we go. Ba-bam. Use last 6 months from... Okay. So again, columns are a lot smaller, tables still huge. So what we can do now is we know there's an issue with the switch details. So let's say where the credit card type is equal to switch. Okay, so now we know we've got all the switch accounts here, and look, there's 64s. Okay, and now we also want to know if they've used it in the last 6 months. Let's say they haven't used it, and that's why they're getting this security call. 34 accounts now. So you can see how quickly we've got this down. Okay, and let's say the end user's really particular about their data. They don't like that this false is lowercase. Let's just throw in an extra command for you to see. We can use the upper. Not a problem, but if you was to refresh this now, we're going to see that this column name is going to drop, and that's no good for the user again. So we can say, we could say used more than 6 months ago. Bit long, but you get the idea. Okay, and again, that's a very easy way. We've just found all the customers that have a switch card type. We've got their name. And we know if they fall into that security breach because they've not used their card in the last 6 months with us. Okay, but let's do another one now. Let's also do a join, because we do have a lot of information in both the tables. So if we just bring up the card details one, there's quite a few columns in there, different bits of information, and we've also got the overview, a few columns in there, different bits of information. Okay, so let's say, for example, now the sales team, they need a report now, and this report's going to show them, let's say, we're going to show, they want to see which customers that have spent between $1.5 million, for example, in the last 6 months. And let's see if they also have promotions on as well. So essentially, let's say they want to see anyone who's spent a lot of money, hasn't spent in the last 6 months, but they allow promotions, so they can target those sort of customers. Okay, so we've got the idea in our head what it is, what we want. So let's join on our other table. So what the left join is going to do is going to return all the data in this table, and it's going to match it with the data in this table. Select from, it's going to select from this table. You can't see all the columns at the moment because obviously this is the one we just done. But let's take that and let's left join it on. Okay, and now we need to actually tell it what we're joining it on. And if you've watched my other videos, you'll know that the customer code in both tables is the same. It's written the same. Okay, so we need to be sure that we tell it which customer code we're talking about. Otherwise, it's going to throw up an error and saying you're being ambiguous. I don't know what you're on about. Okay, so here we are. This is both tables now, joined together, more columns, a lot more data to look at. Okay, so we know that they're going to want to see the customer code. And again, we need to put the table we're talking about here. It can be either table here. It's the same one. We just make sure you use one of them. Okay, and let's spread this out so we're not getting confused. Okay, let's move that out. Okay, so we know we want that. We also know that we want their first names, for example. We also want to know their last name as well. Okay, and we also want to know the spend. Okay, so we're getting somewhere now. We're actually we're making some progress. But we also know we need the allowed promos and the used in the last 6 months. Okay. Okay, so we're starting to build up a bit of a query here. It can look like a lot, but you'll see at the end it's actually not that much. And it's very easy to learn this. If you get yourself a bit of example information like I have, all this information is all procedurally generated by a table. Once you just start messing about with the different statements and just make scenarios in your head for what an end user might want to see, and then try do that. It can be that simple sometimes, and there's loads of resources online that are really going to help you. Okay, so let's also see. We want to see anything else? No, I think that will do for what we want to see. Okay, so we know that we want to see. So let's. Usually, when you want to see something, you're gonna start writing a where statement. Okay, so we want to see where the allow promotions is equal to true. Okay, and we want to know if they've used it in the last 6 months, and we want to target the people here that have not. Okay, so we can say false. So now what we've got here, we've got all the customers with their names, their spends, do they allow the promotions, and have they used it in the last 6 months? And there's a lot of customers still. Maybe not too, only 279 for a sales team. That's relatively small. So what we could say now is, we can also say where, and the spend is between, I think we said 1 million and 1.5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry, I'm using a different syntax there. It's actually and. Oh, okay, apparently we have no customers that have spent between that. So let's change our table out a bit, and let's just say 1,000 and 10,000. Okay, 3 customers. That's going to be a very easy day for the sales team right there. So what we can see here is we've just drilled down from so many columns and so many rows to just 3. Actually, just 3. and that's how useful this querying is, and how easy it is to pick up. And you might think it looks a lot of information to remember, but this is zoomed in. It's a really small query, but it's that powerful. And I just wanted to take this time to show you what it can be like in a real environment. I think when I first started out doing queries, I was doing things very similar to this quite a few years ago. But it's this sort of simple querying that really starts to build all your understanding and all your knowledge. And before you know it, you'll be joining loads of tables on different information. So I think what I would really suggest is just try take on board what I've shown you here. If you get lost in any of the jargon that I've used, like the left joins, the wheres, the ands, the betweens, check out my my playlist that covers all of the statements in 1 to 2 minute videos. They're very simple, very bare bones. It's just to the point. It's for reference and it's to learn it. But try get yourself some dummy information. There's plenty of websites. Hit me up if you need to know one of them. I'll let you know. And yeah, hope you can like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.